Alright, so back course talk about some Final Fantasy XVI. We were going to do something completely different today, not even 16 related, but obviously we got to cover the most up-to-date information. And it's revealed today that there's going to be a state of play coming this Thursday that will have over 20 minutes of new gameplay for Final Fantasy XVI, and it's a state of play that's entirely dedicated to 16. At least as far as I can tell, because state of plays are usually relatively short, so a 20-plus minute gameplay for 16 seems like there's not room for anything else. Plus, they put out a blog post alongside this that only talks about 16, doesn't mention any other games. It's actually a pretty small article, so we'll just read over it really quickly. It says, tune in Thursday, April 13th for an all-new look at the highly anticipated action RPG. From the moment Final Fantasy XVI debuted in our 2020 PlayStation 5 showcase, fans around the world have eagerly awaited details on the game's dark fantasy setting, the powerful icons, and the dominants who house them, and the flashy battle system teased in those early trailers. We're happy to announce this week's State of Play will dive into all this and more, so tune in live on Twitch or YouTube April 13th at 2 p.m. PT, 5 p.m. ET, or 11 p.m. CEST, and get ready for Final Fantasy XVI's PS5 launch on June 22nd. First off, I want to say that I absolutely love these surprise State of Plays where they announce it and then it's happening 2 days later. I think I've watched just about every State of Play since they've been a thing, but I can't recall if they've always done this. I feel like sometimes it's been announced a little more ahead of time. But yeah, here recently it seems like they just announced it and it's happening a few days later, and I enjoy that. As for this event itself, based on what we know, we're supposed to be getting the RPG elements sometime in April, and this obviously has to be it. Unless there's some other goddamn event planned they want to show off 16 again within the month of April. Has to be here. Now, I don't know if all 20 plus minutes of gameplay is going to be dedicated to RPG elements. I don't know how much more they need to show us of combat and the icons and the icons fighting and stuff. I know we haven't really I know Leviathan's in the game, isn't he? But we haven't seen Leviathan yet. I guess maybe they want to show that off potentially. And we also had Typhon shown with the hour-long PAX East event, which I don't know if we knew that Typhon was even an icon in the game before that. So there's probably other icons they might want to show off. I would like there to be some surprises though. And I don't know how much we need to see of traversing the world unless there's newer elements to traverse in the world that we've yet to see. We've seen Clive kind of walking around in different areas. We've seen him riding chocobos. So unless there's a different way to traverse the world that we've yet to see, I know that it's a medieval setting, so there's not vehicles, but maybe there's other ways to get around that they maybe want to show off. I don't know what else there is to see besides the RPG elements. I feel like I know everything I need to know about the game except the RPG elements. So I kind of would like it to be 20 plus minutes of just show me what kind of RPG stuff there is in this game. I feel like there is a level of resource collecting in this game, because I pointed that out when we broke down that PAX East live stream, that there was this shiny thing in front of Yoshida whenever he's walking around on this one part of the gameplay right here. And it looks like something you could walk up to and collect potentially. So besides that, I just don't know what the RPG elements would be. I think that makes a lot of sense given that you can craft in this game and improve weapons and build weapons and stuff like that. So obviously there would be some level of resource gathering. I imagine some of that or most of that could come from defeating monsters, but there probably is things to collect in the world to help you craft stuff. And to be honest, outside of that, I just don't really know based on the gameplay that we have what the RPG elements would be, unless there's choices in the game potentially. Maybe there's dialogue options here and there. Maybe we know you can smash in the game. We know there's supposed to be some sexual activity. Do you get to choose who you smash? Was that all forced? I don't know. No idea. I suppose they could also delve into the abilities, the skills, perks, whatever you want to call them in this game, because it's supposed to be a pretty in-depth thing here. There's, according to what they said, the PAX East event, there's a lot of combinations and things that you can do, and I think you can maybe even improve abilities, change what an ability does, kind of based on what they're talking about, unless I misinterpreted that with that video. So there's some RPG elements that we're kind of aware of. Just a matter of what exactly that's going to be and how they're going to fill 20 plus minutes. Because as I said already, I don't necessarily want to see more fighting. I get it. The gameplay looks great, but I've had enough. Give me some other shit. What are we doing in the games? I've been saying this forever. What are we doing in Final Fantasy XVI besides fighting? Because that's kind of all we've seen for the most part. Now, of course, we can't talk about Final Fantasy XVI without also talking about FF7 Rebirth. But I do think this is important, because this is an important point that somebody mentioned on Twitter that I think makes a lot of sense. We've talked a lot about Rebirth being at the upcoming PlayStation Showcase, whenever that's supposed to happen. And one of the arguments for Rebirth potentially not being there is because 16 would also be there. But the fact that 16 just got an hour-long showcase at PAX East, and they're now getting a 20-plus minute state of play dedicated to them, I think it does add to the possibility of Rebirth being at this event, too. Not that I think that there was ever any conflicting things there anyways, because this idea of 16 and 7 Rebirth not being able to be shown together makes no sense when there's half a year plus between the releases. Nobody's putting off buying 16 because Rebirth is releasing half a year later, or because Rebirth gets a trailer near the launch of 16. People are you know what, fuck it, not buying it. So while I disagree on the idea of those games competing or whatever the fuck, I do think that this kind of leans in favor. The fact that they're given the whole 20-minute state of play specifically to 16 can kind of add more to like Rebirth being at that upcoming PlayStation Showcase. Now, again, can we get burned? Fuck yeah, we can. Anyways, I did want to mention that, though, just because I thought it was an interesting point somebody made. Something else that could come from this event, though, is maybe a demo release date. I did see that also talked about on Twitter. I'm not sure how likely that is, given that we're still like 2.5 months, a little less than 2.5 months from the release of the game. We know the demo is supposed to come out sometime around like 2 weeks before launch, and if that's exact, that of course would be June 8th. I'm just not sure if they want to reveal the actual date for the demo like this far ahead of time, but there's not really a reason they can't, because it's very public knowledge that there's going to be a demo, right? And if it is going to be like June 8th, for example, there's no reason like the end of the state of play they couldn't just say demo June 8th. Like, it wouldn't hurt or harm anything. In fact, it'd be exciting. Anyways, it's more or less a video, my dudes. Of course, this is exciting. This is what I've been asking for, and assuming that this is the RPG stuff that we were promised in April, like, this is what I've been asking for a long time. I just want to know what the fuck we're doing besides fighting. Like, that's it. That's all. That's it. I've been waiting for this forever now. Years at this point. And we're finally going to get it, hopefully Thursday. That's the video. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Social networks in the description below. Follow me on Twitter, @DaveYT. That's it. Bye.
Used to care what people thought, but now I care more, and nobody out here's got it figured out. So therefore, I've lost all hope of a happy ending, depending on whether or not it's worth it. So insecure, no one's perfect. We spend it with no shame. We blow that like Coltrane. We in here like Rogaine, or leave it like Cobain.